Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's Workshop Wednesday as part of our Speed to Scale program. On the line with me is my man, Zach Burks. You there, buddy?
Yep.
Awesome. And so today what we're going to be talking about is LinkedIn. Now, in the spirit of full disclosure, LinkedIn is something that I've never really paid much attention to. I mean, there's a million different opportunities everywhere. You're really not going to be able to take advantage of every single one of them. But every once in a while, something will catch our eye, and where LinkedIn is the fastest growing and I believe the largest social media network for professionals, and that's who we're targeting right now, is professionals. It's something to pay attention to. And anybody who runs a consulting company, or you're a coach, or you're an agency, or an expert of some sort targeting business services or professional business services, this is really something that you want to pay attention to. It's also helpful, too, if you're trying to build a community of like-minded individuals for future affiliate partners, JV partners, and whatnot. And so this is something that we've only recently been testing over the last couple of weeks. Zach has been spearheading this effort. And lo and behold, the results of the initial test that Zach has just started is already pulling in more leads than we're getting with cold email. Now, cold email was one of those things that, I mean, that was the flavor of the month, and we were crushing it. Back in May, we were getting 60 appointments alone just with one appointment setter. In May, and then a combination of us teaching this stuff, and we're seeing our templates being received word for word back in our own inbox, and the fact that it just became overly popular. And if you check your inbox, you're going to see hundreds of direct cold emails in your own inbox, that it became slightly less effective. So the best way to create an edge is always to make sure that you stand a little bit further away from the crowd. Right now, LinkedIn is still one of those that are not fully utilized. A lot of people don't really know how to use it effectively. Zach's cracked this code and is continuing to crack the code. And so I wanted to bring him on to show you exactly what he's doing that is driving a consistent lead flow for us. And it's going to continue to improve as Zach continues to hone in on this. And he'll continue to share and update his strategies with you. But LinkedIn, especially since Microsoft has purchased it, I believe they purchased it in December, this is something that you definitely want to pay attention to. So I've given you enough verbal vomit here at the moment. I'm sure Zach's pretty excited to chime in. If you have any questions, just type them in to the chat box, and of course, we're going to post a recording here in the members area so that you have access to it. So, Zach, why don't you take it from here, bud, and let everybody know what you're seeing and how it works.
Yeah, sure. So there's a few things that we're doing. On one hand, I want to add that it's not only, I think the common misconception about LinkedIn is that it's professionals and that it's, people who work at large companies, managers, that sort of thing. But they just came out with a recent report, which I don't have here, but that said it's not only the fastest growing network, but it's the most robust for B2B decision makers, whether it be owners, founders, co-owners, co-founders, CEOs, that sort of thing. So for us, that's ideal. For a lot of our clients, that's ideal. And as you mentioned, cold email and a couple other things, because there was a low barrier to entry, there's tons of people doing it, and it kind of is creating more noise. And so I want to be clear on some of the LinkedIn stuff. It's intended to be a little bit more challenging, but it's not too tough. We don't want to go blasting people just like we wouldn't do that with cold email, with messages and that sort of thing, because people have been doing that for a long time and it isn't effective. So I think that's kind of the clear distinction is that this is an effective way. So we'll start with what we're calling writing LinkedIn viral posts. And I have Josh here for a reason, because he's the one that maybe didn't start this, but has growth hacked his way to the top for a number of reasons. And so he writes these posts. They're about 1,300 characters long. As you can see, they're one sentence long. or, one sentence each, and then there's a space. So it's very different than your, a huge block of text, and he does it purposely. It's a little bit easier to read. It reflects, the 8th grade, 7th grade writing level, as copywriters kind of aspire to reach or to do. So it's more simple to understand and grasp. And he usually starts with some sort of emotional thing, right? Like, they post my job online, I was getting fired, and I found it in the worst way. It's to get people to say, wow, that's, see more. And I already have it open, but you only see like maybe the first 2 sentences. So this is to get them to click on. So he writes these posts. Each one, as you can see, is just 1 sentence. And you go down, and here's kind of the results. He's got 5,788 likes, 331 comments. And I can go into that more detail, but it's, applying these posts to get tons of views. So this is just the likes, but you're not seeing the views, which I'll show you, and comments. And from my experience, I'm also getting messages. I know he's pushing people on some posts to sign up for a newsletter and that sort of thing. So it's been very effective.
And one of the things, can you just go back there real quick, if you don't mind? So one of the things that I learned throughout this process, because I've been studying up on all the tips and tricks, just as Zach has been testing this in real time, is that here's what you don't want to do. When you write this post, you do not want to include a link in your post, because for whatever reason, the LinkedIn algorithms, once they see a link in there, they look at it as marketing. And so the amount of times that they show people your profile is going to get lower. But there's a little caveat there. You want to wait until you have 30 comments. Once you have 30 comments, you can go ahead and add a link into your post. Just edit it and add the link. Where you do want to add the link is the first comment. So once you write your post, in the first comment, you could say something like, hey, if you're interested in getting the blah, blah, blah checklist, here's where you can sign up. So that's the way you do it. You put it in the first comment, and then you wait.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to get to that.
Were you going to get to that, or did I just...
No, I'm going to get to it. So just we'll pause there for a second.
All right.
So the first aspect of this that I can't emphasize enough is that it has to be great storytelling. The copy has to be really compelling. There are some people, there's a lot of people doing this, and it's not unusual. Josh has an agency. A lot of people have picked up on what Josh is doing. More people are going to LinkedIn and trying to do the same, but not everyone's having the great results as expected, because he knows what he's doing. He's writing, he's tested, he's been doing this for a couple of years. Others are throwing their hat in the ring. They don't necessarily know the copywriting. So it's not tough, but there are some ways to do it to be more effective. The first one is to start with an emotional hook. I was let go from my job. I was told I had to close the business the next day. I wasn't going to be able to pay for the lights or, to keep the lights on. I was, whatever it may be, some emotional thing that stands out, a pattern interrupt as I'm scrolling down LinkedIn, whether it be on my phone while I'm on the train to work or on my desk as I'm, killing time in between, phone calls, whatever it may be. It needs to be some sort of emotional hook to get their attention. And it has to be like 1 sentence, really, really like short and to the point. So they posted my job online. I was getting fired. Ben Lee is also someone that does really well. I can't believe they paid $50,000. Things like that where you're like, as if you're familiar with copywriting, like when I sat down on the piano, what I did next, what surprised them or whatever that very popular ad is, that's what you're hoping to accomplish. The easy part and what I've done is just using existing content or real life stories to write compelling content. So let's say you and I have written 10 articles over the past year. You can't fit a whole article into a LinkedIn post. This isn't an article that we're writing. We're writing a 1,300 character post. So it's a little bit shorter. It's like a status. And so you can pull from your existing articles compelling aspects, put a personal emotional spin on it and just repurpose it. That works just as well, right? And you're just not only are you able to do, accomplish what we're hoping to accomplish with these viral LinkedIn posts, but you're repurposing the content that you wrote and you're getting more mileage out of it. So I would suggest doing that. At the end, what you'll see with Josh is that he'll push the readers to take action in their own life or in their own, career or company to take action, with lines such as like, remember this, just know, or look, here's the deal, that sort of thing. So it always kind of comes back around, and we'll scroll down here. Because companies are not built on the foundation of revenue, they're built on the foundation of mutual respect, and that starts with people, right? So he kind of ends, that's not so much like take action, but he's reminding people, this is what's important, this is why. And he starts with an emotional hook, the challenge, what he learned during that challenge, and then ultimately, like the aha moment. So that's kind of the quick and dirty structure. Emotional hook, a challenge, and then aha moment that you realized something fantastic and you wanted to share it with the world. So that's kind of the overall high level to storytelling. The technical components and aspects that I already kind of pointed out is that there's 1,300 characters, so you have to be kind of concise and to the point. One-line sentences are easier to read. They work well and better. Use 8th grade reading level words, avoid the jargon. So if you're in a very technical industry, which a lot of our clients are, we want to avoid using jargon that others may not understand, and I'm kind of breaking the rules here, but if the jargon or these words, like I'll show you a little bit later, one of our good friends, he's in AI space, if it's something that stands out and is going to stand out in your audience, then of course you can use it. But if it's a more broader topic, and you want a broader audience, I would avoid some of that jargon. You can tag your company, which I think Josh does see right here in his. So he tags the company page, which will push people to there. So they'll like it, they'll follow it, and you're getting, more mileage out of your post. And you can tag influencers.
Tag the company, Zach, just that's as simple as just a hashtag tagging the company.
No, you don't even, so he does the hashtag. But the way you would do it is @.
Oh, okay.
And then your company name, and he just kind of pushes them together, which I know what he does, and I've done it myself. But you want to do the hashtag and then space and then @predictable profits, and then move it closer to the hashtag. So it's not only tagging the page, but it's also hashtag predictable profits. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. What's the benefit of adding the hashtag?
Well, the hashtag is that, let's say somebody was searching for predictable profits.
Oh, got it. So you're kind of doing a 2-in-1 deal.
Yeah. So I'll do growth mindset, growth marketing, coaching. We can do a number of different topics. That's not the important thing here. The important thing here is the content, and then ultimately I'll get to the kind of the growth hacking part of it. But you can tag influencers, which I've tested that as well. I've tagged Tony Robbins, I've tagged Zig Ziglar, I've tagged, Gary Vee, some of these bigger guys. It doesn't really have a big impact because they're not in your network. So I would look for micro influencers, which I didn't put here, but micro influencers that that are in your network and relevant to your audience, right? You don't use Kim Kardashian, even if I don't know if she has a LinkedIn, but that won't benefit you. Some people are like, well, I can expand my reach if I tag these people. It only matters if you're already connected with them, if they're in your network. So that's kind of the important thing here. Timing of it all. This is another thing that I've tested over time, and one of my good friends, I'll kind of show you down below, has done as well, is that you want to post early, right? So when people think of when someone might be scrolling through LinkedIn, when will they be looking at this? Chances are they're going to be doing it early in the morning as they're going to work. Maybe they're commuting. Maybe they are, drinking coffee, waiting to leave the house, something like that. So you want to post early, so it gives yourself a lot of time, and then take advantage. When people are scrolling through LinkedIn, I've even done things like Friday evenings, and they've worked really well because people are off work. Maybe they're just scrolling through on their phone. So think of those types of times that you can, utilize that. Weekends actually tend to work pretty well. With me so far, Charlie?
Yep. No, this is perfect. And if anybody has any questions, just put them in the chat box. But if you're following along, say yes and let us know.
All right. So the growth hack part of it. This is part of the key in order for why Josh is, able to get close to 6,000 likes. In that. And
actually, I don't mean to interrupt you, Zach, but here's the significance behind that. I was reading in one of, at some point you should post Josh's book. It's an extraordinary book. It's called Linked Influencer. It's a free book. This will also help kind of take it another level. But one of the things, I mean, he gave examples about how one post was able to generate 200 plus leads in a matter of 3 days, I think, something like that. And
Yeah.
I mean, and he's going for email contacts. Zach's going for strategy sessions, and all it takes is just a couple strategy sessions in with one post, and that could put a smile on your face for a long time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna get to some of the results and kind of show you that too as well. But the reason to get or before you can get to those results, the big part of this and why this actually works is that LinkedIn has an algorithm. There's some rumors in the background that Microsoft is pushing people. Obviously, they want more people to their platform, and so they're allowing different topics to go more viral because it's kind of like a rush or like a drug, in that if you get a post that gets 25,000 views, you're like, holy cow, how can I get more? Right. And so you're going to be more active on the platform. And other people are seeing that and saying, well, how can I do that as well? So there's this belief that they're allowing greater reach than typically. So I'm not sure if that will change, if that's even true, who knows, but that's what's kind of going on. But the way it exists now, and what I've tested and I've seen, Josh and maybe 10 other influencers do, is that they all say they need to get at least 10 likes within the first hour, ideally within like the first 15 minutes that you post. So you post it, you would go to where a lot of these groups have, or some of these people like Josh have engagement pods. So you would post it, say, hey, if I can get a like and a comment, that'd be great. And if you get 10, 20, 30 likes within the first hour, LinkedIn is picking that up as a fast mover, and they'll push it to a greater network. So then it just explodes, right? So you're like 30 likes, that's great. You come back within a couple hours, you're at 50 likes or 100, a couple hundred likes, and it can just rocket ship from there. You can also post in relevant groups to your topic. So there are LinkedIn groups, there are other things. Let's say you're posting about pitching to VCs, then you would look for startup fundraising groups. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, makes perfect sense.
Okay. So then the results, as Charlie was saying, are, messages. So a lot of people are reaching out to us. The friends or friend invites. So people, you might come across your post, they'll like it, they'll send you an invite. I liked what you're posting about different conversations, push to email list, or push to a Facebook group. So that's what Josh does, right? They'll ask people to sign up for email list, or they'll push them to their Facebook group, which has, 20,000 people or something like that. So I haven't been pushing super hard. I don't have a very big network, and this is, some results that I've gotten. So the first one, as you see, the 50 likes, 10 comments. If I would have pushed harder on that, I think it could have just really exploded. A good friend of mine who I mentioned, Artur, he is pushing really hard on some of his posts, and you can see how I think he got like 30 within the first 30 minutes, and it just rocketed from there. He got 91,000 views. I think he said he got close to 100 friend invites or contact invites, several messages, and tons of new leads. I didn't get the actual number, but leads for his email list that he has. So that's basically it, right? So you're going to write these posts much like this, and I can send examples, or we could even maybe provide maybe a template or something that you're wanting to write. There's also going to be in that book that you mentioned. But this is a way to stand out, to engage, and to provide more of a, like a, maybe not provide, but stand out from your competitors and take advantage of this network. Are you with me so far, Charlie?
Yeah, my man, definitely. So the nice thing about what you're doing too is this is something that can easily be systemized too. right?
Yeah. So what I've done is, I have a basic template, and I've taken articles that we've written in the past, chopped them up into key, bite-sized posts, and then applied kind of like this template or what I know what needs to work, and written them in, Google Docs. So then I can just copy paste into LinkedIn, and that's it. So I'm sure there could be more systemization, but I'm still kind of testing. I'm in the early stages. But yeah, once you kind of get a hang of it, and as I've found, as I started writing, I got better at writing, these actual posts. I got better at understanding what worked, what didn't work, and it became much easier. So I think I've been writing something every day for the last couple of weeks, and I've noticed tons of messages, people reaching out, scheduling calls, that sort of thing.
I think that's the most important thing that people need to understand. In order to make this work and anything work for that matter, is there needs to be a level of consistency, right? If you're going to be involved in generating leads via content marketing, then you want to make sure you're consistent in writing articles, set a calendar, make sure that you hit it no matter what. If you're going to grow a list through email marketing, you don't want to let your email list go cold. And I'm, unfortunately for me, this is one of those hard reminders for me, is that, I, for a while I had, many thousand people that I just never emailed. I got too busy doing other stuff, and they got cold on me. Whatever it is that you're doing, even if you're Facebook advertising, right? You want to make sure you're consistent and following your metrics and optimizing your metrics and whatnot. And this is no different.
Yeah.
So,
like with anything, right? We've seen people, and I think you wrote about this in a recent email. They have a terrible strategy, but they're consistent and they're doing it every single day, and they're getting results. I'd rather have someone who is working hard, they're doing it consistently, they're putting in the work, and staying committed to it, but they're maybe the strategy isn't great, versus someone who is working on the perfect plan, just I got to get it just right, just perfect, but never take action. You're not going to get the results, and that's ultimately what's going on here. So I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know necessarily what to do right away. But as you start doing it and you're consistent and you're seeing other people doing it, it becomes much easier. And I think a lot of our clients and myself, we have life stories where usually as business owners, and as we're targeting our ideal audiences, we know the message that needs to be the message that resonates with our audience. So it became easier as I wrote about it.
And Stephanie asked if you would send examples. And I believe you have some examples in that document, but maybe if you have a few other examples and whatnot. We're going to share this document, correct, Zach? That was the intention with how you created it?
Yeah. I'm happy to share it.
Awesome. Fantastic. So if you could add even a few more examples of different influencers or whatnot that people can click on their links, just as a way to model, that would be fantastic.
Sure. So that's one hack on LinkedIn. I'm kind of keeping an eye on time. Should we jump into the next one?
Please.
So the next one is, I wouldn't say is new. A lot of people are doing this, but we've taken a different approach, a little bit of a spin to it, and it's been more effective. And I have some really great reviews, examples, which I can show you right here. Zach, that's strange. Seems like a great skill to have. I'm literally responding because of how funny this message was. How do you help agencies scale? Right. So I just received that, I think maybe yesterday. And I get those messages every day. And it's a great way to connect and build your audience, but there are some caveats. And so at a high level, what we're doing is that we're using Sales Navigator to find our ideal audience. And I have all of it up above here so I can show you what I mean, but I'm just going to give you the high level for now. You want to pinpoint as much as possible. So niche down. If you help business owners, think, which business owner do I help? Is it agencies? Really nail it down. Then we're using Linked Helper, which is a free tool, I think, for the first 14 days, and then maybe $5 after that a month. So it's very inexpensive, which will collect and go through this search to collect second and third contacts, and then send them invites with a very short message. LinkedIn also limits, how long that message can be. So you have to be creative to connect with them. And once you're connected, you can follow up. Now, like I said, this isn't new. A lot of people have been doing this. I've been receiving recruiting messages, I think, for the last couple of years with people doing this. The difference is it needs to be personalized. It needs to be different, unique, try humor, stand out a little bit. So I'll show you an example. But before we kind of go there, you would start with LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which I've done here. But let's say we want to do the, we're going to go to Lead Builder. I think it's worth it paying for the Sales Navigator, but maybe not for everyone. But it's probably the most accurate way to find your ideal client out there right now. I don't think, and the reason being is that a lot of these data services like, ZoomInfo, data.com, Charlie, I mean, you know this, we tried every one of them under the sun.
Absolutely.
They're not accurate, and LinkedIn, people are keeping their profiles up to date because it's kind of like a resume. It directly reflects who they are. So a lot of people are keeping up to date, and now as it becomes more active and more accepted, that's even more true, right? Very, very accurate. So you're going to open this. Have I? No, I have not yet. So, and you're going to look for, let's say you want to work with agency owners. You might type agency. Maybe you want to work with founders, co-founder. We could even do the other co-founder just to include it all. We only want to work with owners, maybe a partner. We maybe only want to work with employee, 11 to 50 employees. And this is kind of the other important part. We're going to do second and third connections. We can include industries if you'd like. You and I probably, leave it blank for now, but and of course, if you're only working with US, you want to include that. And you can go into other, like things down here to make it a little more specific. So years in current position, let's do 3 to 5. We're looking for a business owner that's been around for a little bit, and we'll do search. That will give me 3,500 people. As you can see, I even have, and what you can do is save the search. So I have a search, so consult agency, because we did keywords like consulting, or like, as you can see, I used the Boolean search here, SaaS or agency or consulting, and gave me a very specific, result, right? So this is the basics of it. You're then going to use Linked Helper, which is down here. You're going to hit invite, collect, select, and invite second and third contacts. You'll do that. And what it will do, it will go through each member on this list, or person on this list, visit their profile, scroll all the way down, send them an invite, and it'll send whatever message you have in here. So you can use a couple different tags, hi, first name, to make it sound a little more personalized. And that's kind of the basics. So what I'm writing, which I just can't quite see, but it says, nice to meet you. I have this weird skill where I give away awesome ideas on acquiring clients for agencies and consulting firms when I should be having sales combos. My boss hates it. If you want to take advantage of this skill, click accept. Fingers crossed, Zach. You have to be very short. The message does not give you a lot of characters to work with. But I found that this one works well because it's different. I'm not, kind of going in for like, hey, if you want to have a call for me to give you a sales pitch, or, something like that. It's a little unique and different, and it stands out. So that's the basics of what we're doing. And you can go through, and I've added maybe hundreds or if not thousands of invites or contacts. And I'm constantly getting messages like this. Hey, Zach, sounds interesting. Can I hear more? I think Mitchell and I are scheduled for a call later today.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's it, right? I mean, that's a basic, quick, it's nothing new. I know Linked Helper has been around for a little while. The important thing here is to, be specific, unique, and personalized and niche down. But it's another way to generate conversations, leads on a platform that is designed for B2B leads.
Awesome. Any questions so far? Keep on going, my man.
That's it. I don't have much else to add to that. Do you have any questions yourself about this? It's pretty straightforward. I don't know if there's anything to add on that.
So let's talk about, because I like to create systems and automate things as much as possible, because as entrepreneurs we're already juggling enough hats and balls and whatnot. So Zach, let's say you're talking to any one of the hundreds of entrepreneurs that you've spoken to. How would you advise them on your experience to now put this into a system?
Yeah, good question. And actually, Stephanie just asked a question around Linked Helper. So it's a Chrome extension that's free to like kind of install, and then to use it, I think over a period of time, it'll cost money. But so the best part about it is it's much like Duck Soup, is that once you start it, it'll run on its own, and you can just kind of put it in the background. And it'll allow you to run, I think, up to 100 a day or something like that, right? So you can connect with up to 100 people today. Now, you can't systemize it entirely. And we know that some of the best systems in the world are not automated. And maybe I'm incorrect when I said you can't systemize it entirely. What I meant was you can't automate every step. But what you can do is, much like McDonald's, would you like fries with that? You can implement maybe a system on your calendar, maybe for an assistant, a VA, whatever it may be, that it happens every day. And so for me, as I've been testing this, I have it written down on my schedule that I will open it the moment I sit down at my desk after, doing a couple other things. And once I start to kind of work on email, I will open that, run it, and let it run for an hour. And we'll pause it, wait, do a couple other things, come back and do it for another hour later in the day. So I have it written down to do this every day. It does not take a lot of time. I can do this if I'm at my desk or not. That might be a little more challenging, but I can find time to do this because you can do it in the evening. You can do it at any time. Again, the point is to be consistent with it.
So first of all, before I forget, the web domain the Linked Helper is, I put it in the chat. It's LINKED helper.com, just for those of you who want the domain. The other thing is that when you think about it, at the highest level, right? As long as, you could have somebody write the post for you, which is fine. Or if I was to write one post, maybe you want to make sure you do a good job. Maybe, it takes you 20 minutes, half hour to write the post. Then from there, you've already got the instructions laid out, right? So I'd write the post. Maybe I post it myself on LinkedIn and then say, hey, Mike, or, whoever your assistant is, here's some of the other steps that we can go ahead and follow. And one thing that you didn't mention, and actually, I want to also mention this too. These posts we're referencing LinkedIn. These are gold. You want to leverage 1 + 1 = 3, right? So you got a great post. Use that same post, push it on Facebook, on your Facebook page and whatnot. Use the same post, send it to your email list, because these posts tell a story and they're helpful, right? So you want to leverage it as much as possible. Maybe even tweet a link to your post. Okay, so I do all of that to drive as much traffic and engagement as possible. One thing, Zach, I don't recall you mentioning this. Anybody who is here and listening, do you want to talk about the LinkedIn pod?
Oh, right. Yeah. So, and when you were talking about like the systemization and having write it, you were talking about the post, not so much the Linked Helper, right?
Right. The Linked Helper is something that, to some extent you could systemize by saying, hey, here's what I want you to do and so forth. Even with the post, I have my assistant, after I write a post, he'll turn around and he'll share it in as many different places as possible. But then, there's the other advantage too, which Zach's going to talk about here, which is the pod to get more likes right off the bat.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then you could have your assistant say, make sure you reach out to the pod. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, going back to the growth hacking part of this with the algorithm, Um, the important thing with a lot of the posts is getting those early likes, like I mentioned a few times. And so what we've done is that we've created a LinkedIn engagement pod, where I am posting. I've added, I think, maybe just about 50 members to start with, contemplating whether or not we want to grow it. It's a little bit easier to grow LinkedIn groups, but it's also a really popular thing right now. So with that, I'll post in this LinkedIn pod, ask, if it resonates with you. Obviously, I want people to really enjoy the post. I don't want just fake likes. But if they enjoy the post, if they enjoy the content, if it resonates with them, please like it and comment. And what that does, obviously, is that increases the algorithm, but it shows your network that you're liking and commenting on my posts, so they're more likely to see it, and the result, is exponentially wider, or the reach is exponentially wider. So if you'd like to join that LinkedIn pod, just if you're not already in it, shoot me a message. I can add you on Facebook. It's just for that, right? There's no strings attached. I won't be bringing anybody else in to, give you any sales pitches, anything like that. But there is one caveat. I hope and we'll expect everyone to kind of be consistent, not only just liking and commenting, but creating content. I mean, we're there to hold people accountable and hold ourselves accountable. So if you're kind of falling off, not creating content, ultimately we'll kind of prune back a little bit if people aren't active. But that's it, right? That's all we're kind of asking for. And so far it's worked out well for us.
Awesome. Very cool. So it's 2:07 right now. We've got some time to take questions, and if anybody wants a hot seat, that's what these moments are for. We want to do our best to try to consolidate these workshop Wednesdays to make sure that we provide you with some action items moving forward, and so you can take action without every workshop feeling like you're drinking water from a fire hose. So if you have any questions, or you want to be on a hot seat, feel free to go ahead and type something in. Now, one of the things that you're going to start seeing from us over the next few weeks and whatnot is we're testing a bunch of different modalities and methods and perfecting them even more than we've done. In the past, I've sent tens and tens of thousands of direct mail pieces and had an extraordinary success with direct mail, but it's just been a little while it's been a little while since we've used direct mail for prospecting, specifically as it relates to strategy sessions and getting people on the phone and setting appointments and whatnot. So that's something that we're going to be perfecting and mastering, and we're going to be sharing skills and techniques with you using direct mail. For those of you who think that I'm crazy looking at direct mail, again, our greatest successes always come when people take their eye off of one market, then they all infiltrate another. I mean, Facebook, almost every other person that we talk to right now is saying, hey, can you give us a tip on Facebook? And hey, can you make this work on Facebook and whatnot? That generally tells us that the market is getting somewhat saturated, and where we really want to focus is our attention on someplace else. And direct mail is traditionally and historically been one of the most lucrative money-making opportunities available in every business, B2B or B2C. And the reason why it's overlooked is because, unlike email, where it actually costs money, unlike email where it's free to send, with direct mail, you actually have to pay to have a direct mail piece go out. But all the statistics show that direct mail buyers have a higher net worth, or a higher lifetime customer value than email. And so we're doing that. We're testing a whole bunch of other techniques right now, because it's up to us to make sure that we give you the edge. And we're not worried about giving you the edge using things that are kind of fly by night marketing strategies, because there's a million of those out there. I think I come up with 2,500 or so new ways to reach new ways to reach a prospect came out in the last year. We're talking about stuff that have roots in the ground. They're going to stick around for a while. They're going to make a massive impact and a major dent in a way that you go ahead and and build leads. And a lot of that actually comes down to what's been used for the last 100 years or so that just haven't gone away. So Zach, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to add to that. My bold claim that I've been telling people last week or so is that everyone's going to be doing direct mail again within the next couple of months, or maybe a little bit longer, maybe not. But that's my kind of bold thing. And the reason why I think it's so compelling and it will work well, I think, as we're kind of testing it out now, the sample size is a little too small, but it's already worked well for us in a number of ways. In that cold email, there's so many people doing it and it's not personalized. Facebook ads, there's so many people doing it. It just seems like there's a new guru or something every day. And so for B2B and, like different, and most of our clients and what they're dealing with, the direct mail, it's not blasting. We're not going to send, flyers out to 10,000 people, but if it can be personalized, handwritten note sort of thing, I think that's going to convert at a much, much higher rate, and more people are going to be going to that as these other channels become more saturated and more noisy, right? So this is a way to cut through the noise and go straight to them and speak directly to them, because I'm not sure people are even opening cold emails these days.
We actually have a client, you know who he is, Zach, that will send out direct mail pieces to every attendee at the conference that he attends. And so we worked on a direct mail piece that would get people's attention. And so one of the things that we did is we said, well, why don't we get a little Rubik's Cube, put a Rubik's Cube in a package along with a letter about, make it somewhat interesting about, hey, you puzzled for how to get blah, blah, and he would send those out. So it's expensive, right? Cost him a few bucks for the Rubik's Cube. The package is a little expensive. But I believe at last count, every mailing that he's sent out, so every batch of mailings has brought him roughly 6 figures in sales. So I'd tend to say that was worth it, wouldn't you, Zach?
Yeah, absolutely.
In fact, he was at a meeting with one of his prospects and noticed the Rubik's Cube that he sent on the guy's desk because the guy just liked it. Awesome. So, but these are the different things that again make you stand apart. Nowadays, your competition doesn't want to spend money. They don't realize how much money they're blowing on Facebook and whatnot. So they're doing that. Hey, one other thing too. We've expanded. We're rolling it out slowly to a few different clients here and there. If you're obviously you're listening to this right now. If you're interested in marketing your business on Google and Bing, we are very quietly rolling out our pay-per-click advertising services to a few clients, because that really is, you got to think about the difference between when somebody's on Facebook and when somebody's on Google. Most people do it wrong, the way they go ahead and they advertise and they try to attract clients. So they think in terms of, taking people to a landing page and so forth, or Facebook. They think in terms of interrupting people and trying to get people to click to a page, and they're wondering why they're spending so much money. But Zach, I'll ask you a question. Let's say you are looking for an advertising agency. Where's the first place you're going to go when you're looking for an advertising agency?
Well, I mean, that's an obvious answer because you can't search on Facebook, can you?
I mean, you can, but you kind of search other people's profiles, right?
Yeah, that'd be tough.
You're right.
You're going to search on Google.
Right, you're going to search on Google. Now, if I search advertising agency in Sacramento, California, what do you think the odds of, temperature-wise, who's hotter? Me, who searched who searched advertising agencies in San Francisco, California, or somebody who just clicks on a link on Facebook?
The person who searched on Google.
Right, absolutely. Yet when you look at your competition out there and where you look at where all the attention is right now, everybody's on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Fewer people of the hundreds of people that you and I talk to on a regular basis, I would say less than 5% are doing any advertising whatsoever on Google. They may be dabbling around in Facebook, but nothing on Google. but these are where the hottest prospects are. They're actively looking for a solution to their problem. And so the reason why I want you to understand how Google works. I think that's really important. I've shared this example before. I'll share it again. When I was in my real estate development business, I knew how to build a road. I knew exactly what went into a quality road when I built my roads in my neighborhoods and whatnot, but I wasn't the guy on a bulldozer. Similarly, when you want to get traffic on AdWords, I really want you to know how to use it. But there's so many things that you're doing in your business to generate leads and build new profit centers and manage your team and whatnot. There's no sense in spending that time doing the AdWords yourself. You'll know how to do it, but there's no sense in spending it yourself. And we'll go into that in a little bit more time later. But unless there's any other questions, we've got a lot going on here. I want you to make sure you optimize your profile. Did you talk about that real quick, though, optimizing your profile? I do want you to mention that because that's really important, because you're not going to get the results that you want if you don't optimize your profile.
Yeah, it's a good point that I overlooked. So if you look at Josh's, if we just start at the profile picture, not profile, but the cover photo on the back here with Mark Zuckerberg, there's 3 things that he recommends, not only just Josh, but there's maybe 3 or 4 others who recommend this. Having a cover photo of someone like with a master influencer. Everybody knows Zuckerberg. So you standing next to him is like, wow, he's standing with Zuckerberg. If you're with Tony Robbins, if you're with Gary Vee, anybody that's like a bigwig in your industry or some very recognizable, maybe it's a celebrity, you'd want to put that up there as long as it's relevant. The other 2 would be if you're in if you're more focused on local services. Let's say I am an advertising agency in San Francisco, then maybe I'd have a picture of the Golden Gate Bridge in the background, because it would demonstrate like, oh, that guy's in San Francisco, that sort of thing. If you're looking to connect with people in your community, let's say you're down in Atlanta, you might do a local monument or something that resonates with Atlanta residents. So they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. The third being, if you're at an event speaking, or if you're giving a keynote, or some place where you're kind of like seen as a thought leader because you have the mic in your hands, basically. Those are the 3 things that you'd ideally like to have. So if you have an instance where you're featured in a speech or something along those lines, those would have, higher priority over just like a random beach picture or a random picture of you, doing something, I don't know, but those are kind of the 3 cover photo things that you would like. The profile picture is meant to be professional or of you in your setting of choice, but like a setting that's relevant to what you do and the clients that you serve. So Josh, I think, has a picture of himself like in a t-shirt, but it's his company t-shirt, and in the background I think it's their company flag. So it's okay, it's clear, it shows him. It's not like he's partying or something, but it just kind of, it needs to be clear and able to like understand whose profile is this. So that's kind of the key. The other thing here is that I think too many people kind of mess this part up. You want to maybe list, what you do, kind of 1 or 2 key things of, 3-time author, top Quora writer, and growth hacker of 2017. That's obviously like a big deal. And then kind of what your mission is, or I've seen other people state, different things, right? But it needs to be concise and clear to your audience, and it needs to be different. If you can do that with social proof, the better. If you can say you've been featured in Inc., Forbes, and Entrepreneur Magazine, fantastic. What you want to avoid is sounding like everyone else. Does that make sense so far, Charlie?
Yeah, absolutely.
So here, which Josh does as well, and I've read a few other people who recommend this. Now, that doesn't mean that, like, what they're saying is right or correct or the only way. It's just that they've tested it and they know that it works well. They've optimized their profile. So let's say we are doing the auto connect feature on LinkedIn or a linked helper. Somebody, comes across my profile, they accept it. They go to, before they accept it, chances are they're going to look at my profile. Or, I mean, let's go even higher picture. If someone's thinking about doing business with you and I, Charlie, there's a good chance not only are they going to research our website, but they're going to look into everything that we've done in the, of all time. So they might look at the articles we've written. They're definitely going to look at our profiles. So this is your chance to stand out, be unique. I think sometimes I've come across clients, they don't even have pictures. I'm like, dude, how do you not have a picture? What if a prospect wants to look you up and they find that you don't have a picture? That's going to sit wrong with some of your prospects. It's another opportunity for you to stand out and demonstrate your skills and your uniqueness. So he's pretty straightforward. We drive ROI and has, we've worked with these companies. So these are a little bit bigger and that's kind of his social proof. I think he could probably be a little more specific. I'm still a little unsure what Josh does for his agency, but I think his community is so big that it doesn't really matter. But if you're looking at yours, I would just like you would on your profile or your website, be as specific as possible and cut to the chase.
Awesome. All right, my man. Well, let's see here. That pretty much wraps up our workshop Wednesday for today. Just looking at my calendar now, our next workshop Wednesday will be the second Wednesday of November. Can you believe it's already November? Honestly, Zach, this morning I was heading to the gym at 5:30 this morning, and Sirius Radio was playing Christmas music. I almost drove off the road. That's crazy. So yeah, November, right? November 8th. Wow. By then, there's probably going to be snow on the ground here in New Hampshire. But I'll hold my breath, see how much longer we can last. So, all right. Well, hey, everybody, if you have any questions about anything that we covered, make sure you ask your speed to scale coach. They may be able to help you with some of the different strategies in growing your business. LinkedIn strategies, hit Zach up on Slack, and he'll be more than happy to answer some of those. And of course, I'm here for you too. Just hit me up on Slack. But we appreciate all of you, and we thank you for being here. And we'll talk to y'all later. All right. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
See y'all.